Moment. There we go. Can you all see my screen? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Send me a note in the chat if possible.
Yeah, I can see that.
Brilliant. All right. Well, it's gone 1 minute past. We'll give it a sort of 30 seconds and we'll make a start. So thanks everyone for joining. I think we've got some clients of ours and some businesses we're speaking to across the world. So sort of give it a few seconds for the different time zones, and we'll make a start. I think that's gone 2 minutes. All right. Well, appreciate everyone for taking some time out of their day to look into this and join the Implementing Mail Manager webinar. We're really looking forward to giving you a better insight into what we do here, and of course, an insight into one of our clients, 5+ Architects, and we're joined by Adam here today, who's going to give us an insight into their experiences of using Mail Manager across the last few years. So welcome all, and thanks for joining. So the webinar today is designed to give you a better idea of the current challenges, and it's designed to help you learn a bit more about implementing the Outlook add-in created by Arab to help companies regain control over their emails. Now, as I mentioned, I've got myself on the call, part of the commercial team, and Adam Thornton. Hi, Adam. Can you hear us?
Absolutely, you can do. Can't see me for some reason, but you've got my mug shut up there at least, so that's good.
That's okay. Thanks for joining, Adam, one of the founding directors there at 5+ Architects, who will give us a better insight into their experiences. So everyone, just looking at today's agenda, if you've got any questions at any point, I'd really encourage you to use the chat facility. Please put a note in the chat or give me a thumbs up or a hello, and we'll use that throughout the webinar to discuss your queries. And I'm really excited to have Adam on the call and having the opportunity to have a client who's happy to discuss their experiences of using Mail Manager is quite rare. So looking forward to that. Now, in terms of the agenda, what we'll cover, that really keen to sort of get a better understanding of what made you attend today. So we've got a few sort of queries, relevant topical queries, and I'll hopefully manage to run a poll, see which ones are relevant to you, and then we'll pass over to Adam and hear their experiences. So this should run up for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll sort of summarize on a Q&A and some onboarding processes, how that looks like, onboarding with us at Mail Manager. So what made you all attend today? So as I said, we've got a number of different participants across the world, and what I want to do is set a poll, if that's possible. So what made you attend today? So it'd be great to get an insight into the reasons for attending, of course. So I'll just try and launch a poll if possible. It's not happening. No. Okay, no worries. So yeah, just to sort of understand a bit more about where everyone sort of come from today, whether you're implementing Mail Manager, just give us a shout in the chat, thumbs up. If you are looking at Mail Manager, you've spoken to myself and one of my colleagues, if you're reviewing this as part of your infrastructure environment, whether you want to implement the system in the short term. Number 2, if you're interested in change management, seems to be a hot topic in the industry, and of course, that seems to be quite relevant these days. And lastly, if you're not looking to implement this now, but you're really keen to hear about what we do, then give us a note about number 3. Just got some ones here. Number 1, great. Okay, fine. All right. Well, if we begin by understanding some of the key challenges we tend to hear at present, I'm really keen to get an insight into whether any of this would resonate to all the different roles we have here today and the type of work that you all do. So I'm mindful we've got several attendees across the US, UK, Canada, and possibly across Europe and Scandinavia. So things may vary from country to country, of course, depending on current affairs. But the key things are a topic of risk. An email can be dotted around and spread around different inboxes, especially when staff are now working remotely back in the office, and then typically we know people organize information in their email in their own way, which can be tricky for someone else to make sense of it, especially now things are starting to move forward again. And one thing is for sure is that sensitive commercial information can govern a project. Sometimes it can be left in an inbox rather than in the job file where it's meant to be stored. and accessible. So, I mean, a more recent one which we've been hearing is this third one here, which, following projects restarting and the challenging few months some businesses have seen, it's taking on new projects or old projects, relying on what had been said before the world went crazy. So these are decisions, instructions to complete jobs which were potentially agreed pre-pandemic to defend our actions or agreements, and by someone who might not even be with the firm anymore. So that gives you a context around that. And businesses have now come to realize the importance of staff emails, and the context of emails can be integral to client relations, as I'm sure you're all aware. So what happens today? What happens in reality? And what we do find is that in those scenarios, they typically fall into these different 4 scenarios. So what we tend to see a lot is you'll probably end up finding the information and that you need, but it can often burn a lot of time, unnecessary time, and cause frustration between project teams and different departments. And it can most often be concerning to leaders who I'm sure are on the call, partners, vice presidents, and directors of firms who are client facing or in important meetings which with clients who tend to have the more difficult conversations regarding those agreements. And typically that information is held in staff inboxes. So also number 3, we see that project teams heavily rely on these archiving tools which IT can use as disaster recovery. It doesn't really tend to store information by project. So I did have another poll, but if you could potentially utilize the chat facility and understand if any of those resonate with any of the attendees today, it'd be great to get some sort of understanding of what our attendees today are sort of facing and what they think is quite relevant to this day. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to put something in the chat. Got number 3. Great. That seems to be quite popular in the last webinar we held. 3, a lot of 3s. Number 1, great. Okay, well, thanks everyone for putting that in. Brilliant. Well, that was a bit about the challenges and what we tend to hear in reality. And I'm really excited to have Adam on the call. So I'll hand over to you, Adam, and we'll go from there.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. We've put together a few slides of how we've been using Mail Manager. So we'll have to click through a few slides, Daniel, if you wouldn't mind. So in terms of myself, I'm Adam Thornton from 5+ Architects, founding director. I've been qualified about 20 years. And in terms of geography, I'm based in London in the UK. On to the next one, Dan. In terms of 5+ itself, we've been founded about 10, 11 years now. And maybe unlike some of the other webinars, this isn't about us recently swapping over to Mail Manager. We've been on Mail Manager since the beginning. It's something we used in the previous companies we worked with, and we liked it so much that we carried through. So we've had the benefit of always being on Mail Manager. We've grown. Mail Manager's grown with us. We're one practice in 2 locations, and how we keep our 2 studios kind of looking at the same thing, same information. 2 locations, 11-year, 55 staff, and 942 projects. Next slide, Dan. So about us, we are architects, designers, but as well as that, our core services include master planning, urban design, interior design, graphic design, and so anything really to do with design. Moving on down. A few of our projects, some big, some small, so really large master planning projects. This is a project up in the north of the UK, up just to the west of Manchester in Salford Crescent, big university complex, lots of different buildings, big master plan, lots of data.
And just for our attendees, is there a particular area of sort of expertise that you focus on or the business focus on, sort of portfolio-wise?
We tend to believe that as designers and architects, we listen, we take a brief, we understand a project, so we don't tend to specialize particularly. Similarly, I think if some of our architects spent 4 years doing an office and then spent 4 years doing another office, we would lose their focus. So we try and mix it up a bit. And to be honest, building types, if I said, when was the last time I designed a shopping centre? I'd say it was Stansted Airport. If you've been through it recently, apologies. Yeah. And it's just a big shopping centre with a runway out the back. I've designed schools that want to be like offices. I've designed offices that want to be like schools, hotel lobbies that want to be like airport lounges. And there's so much transfer these days of skills that you end up with really putting your best team to listen to a client's brief. We're as architects here to give you something bespoke. If you want a cookie cutter house like the one out of the catalogue book, you don't really need an architect. So yeah, we're here for the commissions, really.
Brilliant, thanks for that.
So from the big projects on the previous page to small interior fit outs, this is a student hub scheme, again with Manchester University, where we've looked at the experience coming in, how students use it, how they navigate around the building, use of colour to keep everyone activated, and lots of technology in this one, lots of kiosks they can get to access library information about their courses, that sort of thing.
Brilliant.
We build stuff as well. It's a crime for things to sit in drawers. Some architects do design things that then just sit in cupboards and drawers. We like to get on and build them. So this is a hotel in London, opposite Moorfields Eye Hospital, City Road roundabout over in East London, if anyone knows the area, the Montcalm, M by Montcalm Hotel. And opposite my Moorfields Eye Hospital, some bright architect had the idea that we should base it on optical illusions. So lots of different geometries, lines, nothing particularly horizontal. It was really fun doing the cladding on that one.
I think I recognise that. I've been past it a couple of times as well.
Certainly one of those Marmite ones that you love it or hate it. And pieces of infrastructure. So at Manchester Airport, we are working outside the airport. In fact, what they call Airport City. Things need to cluster near airports. People, processes, packaging, airlines, DHL type companies, and so as well as having airports become magnets and hubs for all sorts of other things. So a whole city building up around Manchester Airport on the outskirts of Manchester.
Brilliant.
Historic buildings too. This is now a successful shopping centre on the ground floor with hotel above. It was 5 years ago a failing shopping centre. It was very much inward facing, if anyone has ever been to it. It expected you to go through the big arch in the middle and then access all the shops on the inside. And in terms of knowing what was inside, that didn't really work. So we spent some time turning the ground floor inside out. In terms of what the building was, it was a corn exchange. That used to be a very private building, a secure building, a building that was purposefully 2 foot above the ground so that people were slightly, oh, I shouldn't be going in there. And so we brought all the ground floor levels down and made it open out and repurpose it for the 21st century.
Brilliant.
Moving on to Mail Manager, enough about us. Why? I think in terms of project length, our projects last a long time. This hotel in Great Eastern Street that you're seeing a hole in the ground, for scale, if you focus on the little orange man at the bottom, you suddenly go, well, actually, yeah, that's 3 or 4 levels of basement. There he is. The first sketch we did in 2011. It took 3 or 4 years to get it to site in April 14, and then another 5 years to build it. So from the first email that came in, we spent the best part of 9 or 10 years. And what does 9 or 10 years of emails have a look like? Let's flick the page over and find out. Before we got to site, 5,438 emails. Once we got to site, subcontractors, contractors, clients, planners, building control, fire regulations, 43,000 emails. So the best part of 50,000 emails to get that building built, all stored with the job, with the data on our server. And so as Dan was alluding to at the beginning, there could be emails in someone's inbox, there could be some on a Google Drive, there could be some in the cloud. No, in our case, all of those emails are stored with the job, in the job folder, in that suitcase. So all the drawings, all the letters, all the emails, all sit together in one place. And that's one of the benefits of Mail Manager, being able to take that hassle out of, where do I file this? Mail Manager does it for you, and I know where they all are. Brilliant.
I mean, Adam, the business have had Mail Manager for quite a long time now, since the start, you said. I mean, how is it you think that staff are getting used to this when you have new starters, the business is growing? Is this sort of just part of what you do now? You could say part of other systems you're using?
Absolutely. We have an induction process, onboarding process. We run that through, and this is how you file your emails in exactly the same way. This is how you draw. This is how you unlock the building and the alarm code in the morning. It's just part of the DNA of 5+ that this is how you do it. Part of our QA system, we're ISO 9001, and we have how do I's for various things, and how do I use Mail Manager as part of that. So all the staff get inducted on it. Haven't really had anyone rebelling, saying, oh, it's too hard or too difficult. We try and keep everyone's mailboxes nice and tight and small, so they have no choice. If you want to be able to send emails, keep your inbox down, make sure you've done your filing.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, you've got 2 offices there, and you're based in the London office. How is it differ to the Manchester office? Is it a similar protocol for the staff there?
Exactly the same. We try and run it as one practice across the 2 locations. I think the COVID world has actually made that better, because instead of thinking, oh, I need to do a trip to Manchester or vice versa to London, now it's a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, and we're actually working more culturally cross studio than we've ever done before. So we're about to reunite our 2 servers. Until last year, we lived with 2 separate servers, and we're going to move to a position of just having 1 server for the pair of us now.
Brilliant, brilliant.
So the reason it works for us is the search function. And it's a super fast, I don't know quite how you do it, but it's a super fast search function. Various things you can type in. If you know the subject, stick that in. If you know who you're sending it from or to. And so that for me, super helpful. It's an email from Adam, it's to a project manager. In the body of the text somewhere, I wrote land ownership. Stick those 3 bits in, and it shows me the 8 emails I've ever sent from me to that person with the word ownership in it. And so you can super quick find what you're looking for. In this case, on this screen, it was from me on a project, Great Eastern Street Hotel, the one we've been looking at up the top there, containing an attachment. So it's something I sent. Oh, there we go, attached. And I think there's about 700 emails, I think, on that one. But again, anything you think, if you know the name of the file name, you can stick that in. Oh, I know it was sort of a Word document, star.doc. And so if you know the subject, a few keywords, it comes up. It doesn't spend ages thinking about it. It's kind of Google fast from that point of view, that it's pretty instant.
Fantastic.
And so all of that's in one place on our server. And not in lots of people's inboxes. If someone's away on holiday, it's like, oh no, where is it? And for that, we can literally search everything.
Adam, I think you've got something around the remote work and maybe the transition from
when
we've got all of it crazy.
Absolutely coming up. So if we move on to the next, slide, in terms of this particular project, just staying really as a case study on this hotel, we store it all in one place on our server. So the middle box is actually each job has a job number, in this case 05349 on the top left there, Great Eastern Street. And in our archive, we have a all-stage folder called All Correspondence, and everything to do with the job just drops in there. Mail Manager automatically sends it there. Most jobs, when you send an email, it automatically brings up the Mail Manager box to say, where do you want to file it? And we do it just by job. And most of the time it's AI clever enough to go, we think this is an email on Great Eastern Street, and it will pre-populate and go, is this where you want to send it? Yes, it goes in there. So we've got 32 gig of emails in there, which means that all our other systems are much lighter. And it then means when that job is finished, we archive all of that into cold data store with the job, take it off our servers, take it off our email boxes, and it just sits there. So if I ever had to come back in 12 years' time with some sort of legal challenge, where were the emails, where were the letters, where were the drawings, all together in one place. Moving on. We were a bit nervous about this. We bought our perpetual Outlook 2010 email licenses when we started the business, and haven't ever had to pay for new Outlook licenses since, which was great. And that worked for us. But more recently, with Cyber Essentials, security, various 2-factor authentication, we've had to move from our provider to Outlook 365, and it was fine. Literally, we turned off our old email system, migrated across to A365 one weekend. We installed all the Mail Manager plugins, and there was no issues whatsoever. It works in exactly the same way. So finally, a couple of slides on remote working. If any of you have trust issues, what are your staff doing? Who are they communicating with? Have they copied me in on emails? All those sorts of things. The Mail Manager search window, again, in this case, I opened and thought, oh, I want to see all the emails sent from Katrine, which I put on the left there. And I didn't say which project, I just said all emails from Katrine. And again, its database says, in that case, I'll tell you all the ones from all the projects. And if you have a look, kind of the top 12 emails-ish, all dated 27th of the 4th, were various emails that were sent on the 27th yesterday by Katrine across different projects. So Project Bailey, Garrick Road, NHS. And so I could see everything going. And then the day before, again, lots of emails, about 12 emails to different things. And so instead of not knowing what people are doing, remote working allows me to go, you know, oh, I can see actually Katrine has already sent something to someone else. I don't need to intervene. I can continue to happily trust that that's all going on. But similarly, if I wasn't copied in an email and I want, oh, what has Katrine said to someone at the NHS, I can literally go from Katrine to person at the NHS, and it will bring me up all the correspondence between these two people. So again, you can stop saying, copy me into emails, all those control freaks out there. Get your email box down because you know the email's gone, you can check it's gone, you can go and look at the correspondence if you want, and it helps in your own email filing as well.
Do you think it's, Adam, do you think it's because everyone's just used to CCing each other or saying CC me in an email that they don't realize that this could be possible? Or what do you think the behavior around that is?
Well, I think for me, it's probably control that you kind of want to know, but you also want to know what the person said back potentially. Sure. That if we've issued out a document and you want to, oh, a lovely piece of work, or I disagree with this, or something like that, you kind of want to see that response back maybe. So I think there is still a place for CCing, but just because you know it's done doesn't need to be one of those reasons, particularly when that search function works across projects. So again, super powerful on the function. And sure. Again, if, and we'll come on to it probably nicely on the last slide actually, let me say one of my clients has put in a complaint. Let's say Tim Bagnall halfway down there has put in a complaint. If we move on to the next page,
sure.
Then a clever little, for the graphic people out there, you can do a little social map. The blue is me in this case, and this is the same project, Great Eastern Street. And what it says is all the people on there are people that have received emails. And all the green ones are ones that have had lots of emails from me. All the orange ones have had a few emails from me, and all the white ones haven't ever had an email from me. Might look like, oh, it's pretty, that's great. But actually, if you had a customer that was saying, actually, I'm really upset with the service from 5+, doesn't ever happen, you'll be glad to know, then you could click on that person and you would be able to see everyone in your organization that has corresponded with them. And they say, oh, well, I've never heard from 5+, you haven't got back to me. And it's like, click on that person. Well, actually, I can see that 6 people in my organization have emailed you over the last 2 weeks to get in touch with you about your issue here. So again, from a fault finding, solving problems, making sure the customer is well looked after, we use this a lot on the positive side. And I guess we use it now and again on the negative side. If you ever do end up in that legal situation where I was never sent this, then again, you can click on that person and see who was in touch, who sent the information, who passed it on. And it might be like 6 remote email boxes away from you. You may never have had any contact. I mean, if you look at the kind of person on the bottom right, if you want to kind of go down there, Dan, there is a person down there, bottom right, even down there, who's had 1 email from somebody in the team. And it's like, oh, well, actually, that project supervisor, that fund monitor, that person did actually get some information from someone 2 networks removed from where I was. Wow. So hopefully that gives you a little insight into how we use it, the power of the search function, how it keeps all our data off the servers. We can, once we've archived projects, keep all our data together. So I think the final slide is just a thank you and a web address to say, oh no, you've taken that one out. Fine.
Oh no.
No, it's all right. 5+architects.com if you want to go and have a look.
5plusarchitects.com.
5 the number. Yeah.
We'll put that in the notes in the follow-up email, just so you've got the details there, everyone. I'm really keen to see or understand some of our attendees today. So Adam's gone through some of the potential remote challenges that we've all maybe faced. I mean, is there anything anyone can share with us in the notes or in the chat? Maybe something that's come up in your business, maybe something you think that could be quite relevant here. Please just share. I think we've had one here. Some questions come in actually, which we'll spend a minute going through at the end. I was really keen to run through a bit of the onboarding process. So Adam, thank you for running through that. It's really great to learn a bit more about yourself and the business as well. So thanks again for doing that. I'll just run you all through a bit about the onboarding process and what that typically looks like for businesses looking to implement a system like Mail Manager. So just before we do finish off and run through some of your queries in the chat, useful to run through the onboarding processes for those who mentioned number 1 on the previous poll, who are interested in taking this on or reviewing it further with the commercial team here. What we would typically do is take you through the system and more in-depth commercial chat about the system and where this might be able to fit in your infrastructure. Typically present to a few stakeholders in the business or who you believe is typically suited to this type of discussion. And once you take this on board, we would help onboard businesses remotely and install Mail Manager with you to mirror your current structure and project directory. And that whole onboarding process, everyone, will take on average around 2 to 3 hours. So there's no downtime or heavy system, which could take 6 to 8 months to implement. This is turned on overnight. And we'll also run training programs to ensure that all the project teams understand the functionality and provide any tips and tricks before any full rollout is complete. And those training sessions would also be provided to some champion users. There may be a couple of champion users in your business, Adam, who help with that training and onboarding intro or induction process you mentioned earlier, and also the technical teams to make sure that if there are any changes required, they know how it's done. Now, we've also got a special team of account managers and a success team who are on hand to offer support during your journey with Mail Manager and offer regular client Q&A sessions to give you all an opportunity to meet similar firms and, of course, ask questions once you've had the chance to use this in your first sort of few months. And they would also organize calls with you to ensure that you're getting the best out of the system. So we really want to make sure that this is an investment that's not just used for a couple of months. This is an investment that you'll look to keep. Now, we also have a great team of technical support crew, and they're on hand for any issues that should arise. So any troubleshooting, any updates that we're always working on, and they're also contactable via our website, chat services, email, and also by phone. So one recent feature which some of our clients have had access to recently is a customer portal where we can all access knowledge articles, newsletters, and also tutorial videos for quick reminders and access to these types of webinars. So that's what I aimed to go through. Please feel free to ask myself any questions. I'll leave you with sales@mailmanager.com email address and put Adam's information there as well. But I think we had a few questions come in, which I was keen to sort of run through before we summarize. So I think we had one earlier from Niranjan. Meeting location includes exactly what kind of data? So if I've got that right, the meeting location, sorry, if maybe you could elaborate a bit on that. Sorry, the meeting location, maybe the project locations regarding Mail Manager. If you could please elaborate on that a bit more. I'm sorry. Kathy, if someone receives a personal email that they don't want other team members to view, how are those kept secure but still available for managers if needed for HR reasons? Great question, Kathy. Thanks for putting that in. It's a very topical question that we tend to hear on almost all meetings. There may be something quite sensitive regarding an employee or some sensitive contract issues on a project. Mail Manager would simply mirror the permission and access rights you currently have in your own business. So if there was a restricted folder in the server, only the people who had access to that folder would be able to view the emails in that folder. So it limits the access and will just simply copy the settings that you have. There's no additional work required on Mail Manager's end.
Yeah,
so
exactly. We can give some live examples of that. As a director, we have a director's drive, which only we can get to, and we have a collective directors Mail Manage collection. And so, and I can show you a live example, to be honest, if I can share my screen. I don't know if you unshare, I might be able to share.
Yes, potentially.
Give it a go. Let's see. Yeah, I can. There we go. So on my screen, this is hopefully you can see an email, BIM update. The Mail Manager plugin is up the top there. And when I hit file this email, up comes this kind of selection of suggested things I was talking about. Is it a Peckham Library Square? Well, it happens to be a Peckham Library Square email, but that's fine. But I also have a personal folder there for my own personal emails that get stored in my own place, finance drive. And so if I hit finance, it goes into there and only the finance team can see it. Similarly, if it goes in there, in this case, I want to stick it in there and that's it. It's gone. It is now done. I think I didn't hit share. So I don't think you saw any of that.
I don't think it came. I think I can see your screen now.
You can see my screen now. So let's go and find that one again. You should have said. Right, there we go. So this email here, the Mail Manager plugin is up at the top there. And I go File Email, and it brings up the suggested locations. So it is a Peckham Library Square email, and it's come up with a star saying it's probably that, because it kind of thinks, oh, who's it from? Who's it to? Who's in the group? But if I put it into
I think it's
personal
scrolling.
Directors,
Adam, I don't think it's showing your prompt. Okay. It's just on your PDF.
Oh, that's because it's on that page. There we go. We'll try one more time. This one, try that.
Give it a go.
Now you can see the email.
Yes, we can.
Great. So email, little toolbar up there for Mail Manager, file email, up comes the list, and you get Peckham Library Square, personal directors, and all the different things there. And so you simply go, I think this is a personal email that goes in there, Peckham Library Square email in there, and off it goes and files. And it's as simple as that.
Right. And if you were to administer some more sort of access rights, Adam, is that done? Is that something administration would tend to do, or is it the IT department would tend to get involved?
Yeah, IT just set up which folders and which drives people can see generally, and then whoever's administering the Mail Manager in terms of collections would point them in the right places.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I'll just pull up the chat again. Thanks, Kathy. If there are any further queries on that, please let us know at sales@mailmanager.com. We'll be happy to answer your queries. I think we had one from Kevin. Do you do the migration of email data, or does this client have to do that? Going to 365 and public folders and Mail Manager. Yes, so that's something we would walk you through and discuss how to get it done. We could show you examples of how it's done. And again, yeah, talk you through that whole process, Kevin. But that's something that you would do in the background whilst the implementation is ongoing, and we would of course support you through that migration. But it's typically done, and maybe Adam, you can give us a good insight into how it's happened for you, but it's typically done on sort of a machine, and that sort of happens in the background, so there's no downtime on what staff currently do in Outlook, and doesn't stop what you're doing if you were to migrate emails from a public folder, as it's just the messages in that folder moving into its project location. Not sure, Adam, if you've got any recent examples of that.
Yeah, if emails tend to build up in inboxes, don't they? Unfortunately. And so what I can do is select all the emails from a particular person, everything that's come in from a project manager on a hotel, select them all, go file, and instead of filing them individually, you can file them in bulk, and it will just take all of those and churn through and take them out of my inbox, delete them out of my inbox, stick them on the server. And so if you had standard subject titles, subject people, however you want to, you could do Control A and select your entire inbox and say, just file them all in the stuff before Mail Manager box. Because you could then always search that box for everything anyway. So it depends if everything needs to be filed correctly, you're going to have to go through and do it just like you would for paper. But if you just want to put it in a pre-Mail Manager box, you could do that as well. And it's just like everything before we moved across is in there. The search would still work. It's an email from X to Y about Z.
Sure. Well, thanks, Adam. I hope that helps, Kevin. I think we just had one more around justifying the costs of implementing a new system in terms of a return on investment. And the way, it's a very good question, and the way we like to think about that and help our clients understand where the return on investment would be is if we can perhaps save one staff 2 hours perhaps per week. We've actually run a few case studies which we can share after the call in the follow-up email on sort of a team of around 30 staff. If we can save them 2 hours a week per person on filing and searching for correspondence, and that will begin to pay for itself within the first 3 months. If you think about it in terms of hourly wages and staff wages, it tends to bring back a level of return on investment there. So it might be worth, if you were keen to review Mail Manager, and if you selected number 2 as one of your options in change management, it would be interesting to get your thoughts on how much time you think is potentially spent in Outlook during a week. Maybe you could use the chat facility. Different companies, of course, the level or the volume of email, of course, depends on that, but it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on how much time we spend in Outlook. We actually run an industry report with industry leaders and directors like Adam, and sort of identified that it's around 70% of our working week was spent within Outlook, which makes sense because a lot of what we do is in Outlook, and projects typically reside in Outlook, so it's important to get them safely stored and accessible.
There's potentially some infrastructure and hidden savings as well that aren't as immediate as the ones you've outlined, Dan. So for example, let's take that 32 gigabytes of mail isn't sitting on our Outlook 365 amount of data we're paying for month on month, and it isn't sitting on our servers, and it isn't sitting in our backup tapes every night because it's now relatively cold data. And so it's just sitting for us in a couple of cold stores that are replicated in a couple of places. And so we can now keep that data in a really cheap location. And so if you're forever thinking, I'm out of shared storage space on O365, I'm about to run out of space on my current server, it allows you to actually keep your current infrastructure and your current rental of space lean, because you can archive those older things.
Amazing. And if there was one thing, Adam, you would say is your favorite feature of Mail Manager, if there was one, what would that be, just sort of as a summary here?
I think it's just the search function.
Okay.
I think I've probably said it enough times that it's just as running 8 different projects all at the same time. It's like, who did I say to what when? And it just is super powerful.
Amazing. Well, I think we've approached nearly 40 minutes now, and that is what we sort of plan to give you all an insight into what we do here, and of course a client's perspective on how this has helped them. So Adam, I really appreciate you jumping on and giving us all a better insight into yourself and the business and what you do there at 5+ Architects. What I'll do is I'll put Adam's information and the company website, and of course if you ever wanted any assistance or had any questions regarding Mail Manager at all, and potentially wanted to take some time with one of us in the commercial team to run through it, please just send us an email to sales@mailmanager.com or visit our website mailmanager.com, and we'll be really happy to assist you. And that was all from me and Adam. Any other last thoughts? No, is he not with us anymore? All right. Well, everyone, thank you.
I'm still here.
Still here. Brilliant. Thought I lost you. All right. Well, I really appreciate your time all. And yeah, look forward to hearing from you all soon, and have a lovely rest of your day. Thanks, Adam.
No trouble. Thanks, Dan.
All the best. Bye-bye.